little bit.
We'll lean into it.
Want to move over a little bit more? We can.
Yeah, just sit on your lap.
Okay.
Yeah. No, she's all good with it. Yeah, Beau and my relationship preceded that, so it's all good. Hi, everybody. Thanks for being here.
Good to see you all.
This was the Tsunami panel. We're both deeply a part of Tsunami too, but feel free to ask us pretty much anything.
Yeah.
And if we don't know the answer, we'll make it up. Most of the time, we're making it up anyway.
Yeah, right. If in any doubt, just call me Booger. That's what you called me in that episode of Tsunami. You called me Booger.
Did you guys see that episode in Tsunami? No.
Yeah. All right.
Great.
Okay, we're going home.
Yeah.
Well, he was a big booger monster, so
I was a booger monster.
That's my pet name for him now.
Yeah.
Booger. But ladies and gentlemen, this is the amazing Beau Billingslea.
Thank you. And I'm here with the king, so.
Yeah? Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, it's Steve. Nice to see you. It's really good to be back at Otakon. This is Otakon, right? Yeah, okay. Back before the apocalypse, I was doing like 25 to 30 cities a year, and then everything shut down, and we kind of took a break, so it's good to be back out in the meat world again. See you guys face to face.
Yeah. The meat.
Hug all of you. So we're going to open this up to you guys. It can be about Bebop. It can be about literally anything. Star Trek, whatever. Whatever you guys want to talk about.
Whatever you want to talk about.
Before you guys got here, we were hyping up all the Toonami shows that they remember and whose voices they remember from it and how long they've been watching it. Who is the oldest Toonami, guys? And we already decided Roshi doesn't count because he's just old. All right.
Wow.
And just a reminder, there's a microphone over here. I don't think we've got one over there. Yeah, there's a microphone over here. So you have questions, you want to line up by the microphone and just come prepared with what you want to ask, so that you're not going. Do you remember when that episode? So by all means, get up with your questions, or sit there. There we go. Don't trample each other.
Trample nicely.
Trample nicely.
Who's still watching Tsunami these days? Nice, thank you for staying up late. We love making this show. We can't believe it's lasted all these years. And we're still trying to bring all kinds of brand new goodness to you every week. So thanks for staying up late, you guys. And I'll see you in space tonight. All right. Awesome. All right, go ahead. Fire away.
So throughout your entire careers, two questions. What's your favorite character you like to play the most, and what character do you wish you played the most?
So the question was, what characters did you like to play the most, and which is the ones that you wished you'd played, right? Is that right?
Oh, okay. Like Steve says, our characters are kind of like our kids, our children. And it's not, you shouldn't have a favorite, but Jet Black. And if there's a character I ever wanted to play, it's Spike.
Well, favorite character, that's an impossible question to answer, and that changes every day. Right now, I'm just going to say Tom, because I'm still employed. Thank you, Adult Swim. Yeah, but I love all the characters for very different reasons, and it does change day to day. And if I really struggle with that question about which character I'd like to play, because any character that I've thought about playing that I haven't played, one of my friends is playing it. So I know that's not the answer you're looking for, but that is my answer. The one exception to that, and I mentioned this in yesterday's panel too, would have been Batman. Because growing up, it was one of my favorite comic series, and I thought that once my voice dropped, I'd be a natural voice print for it. But then you hear Kevin Conroy do it, and it's like, I'm good. Thank you for that.
And you got to do Big O. So.
What's that?
You got to do Big O. That's almost like Batman.
That's true. Roger Smith was sort of like an anime Batman with a giant robot. Hi.
Hi.
recognize me from yesterday, Johnny Wolf.
I remember.
Right. So my question for both of you, would either of you consider a role in the upcoming anime Chainsaw Man?
I think we'd consider a role for anything they'd hire us for. Especially Beau, he's a real horror.
Does it pay money?
I mean,
Just saying.
it's Viz Media, so I mean, I have two characters in mind for you. For Steve, definitely Kishibe. If any of you guys know who that is in Chainsaw Man, anybody know?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like the drunk mentor type character.
Oh, typecast again.
Yeah.
And for Beau, I could definitely see him playing, wait, somebody help me out, I forgot his name. He's like the larger guy with a sword who originally hates Dingy at first, but then...
Aki,
yeah. I could definitely see Beau playing Aki.
Okay, I'll take the Aki. Yes.
Yeah, hire us.
Yeah. Does Aki drink?
On occasion. When there's enough demons to kill, yes. Alright, but yes, thank you guys.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate that.
Thanks.
Hey, how you
Hi.
doing?
Hi. Great.
So I'm wearing a Tsunami suit right now, so I have a question for both of you guys. So besides Bebop, I get you two also play the Tsunami Immersion event, the Forge, and you go play as Booger.
Yes.
So for Bill, what was the process? What was the process of having you voice Booger for the immersion that you can remember?
How did you create
Well,
Booger?
I blew my nose and sent in a sample. It was just it was their choice, right? Their choice. I don't know. They wrote and animated a character named Booger, and they thought of me. I don't know how that works, but that's how it went down. My agent got a call, and just we'd like Beau to do Booger, and I did Booger.
So you didn't have to audition for the Booger?
No, I didn't have to audition for the Booger.
Okay.
I'm kind of known in Hollywood as the Booger. So whenever there's a role that comes up for a Booger, it's Beau,
Yeah.
the Booger.
He's not kidding.
It's, oh God, that was good.
I'm a dad.
That was
It's a
good.
dad joke.
That was nice. I wish I had thought of that, man. That was nice.
Don't blow it.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll be here all week, so.
No, we didn't have a tissue with it. It's okay.
There's always a sleeve.
We got to move on. It's going to get really bad.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Oh, where'd you get this shirt?
Oh,
I have to know where you got this shirt.
I made it. I knitted it. No, my wife got a bunch of them online, and I haven't, that was like 3 years ago, and I haven't taken it off, So, just saying.
Gotcha. Thank you.
For y'all who haven't seen it.
He has a tattooed on his chest too underneath. It's really awkward at the beach.
Yeah, you take the shirt off and it's still on.
It's still on. Hi.
How you guys doing? I have a question for both of you. What was your favorite line to deliver in Cowboy Bebop, and could you deliver it?
Yes.
Well, after Jet was eating the shiitake mushrooms, he was talking to his bonsai trees, and as I recall, they were talking back to me. If you speak bonsai. And finally he had this outburst, and he said, who am I anyway? That would be number two. Number one is, hey Spike, it's time to eat. We're having bell peppers and beef.
I got two favorites too. They were both from the movie. One was, there are three things I particularly hate. Kids, animals, and women with attitude. So tell me, Jeff, why do we have all three of them neatly gathered on our ship?
Because it was in honor of you, Spike.
And the Jennifer Hale can kick my ass, so yeah.
Marcus is available too. She can kick my ass too. You know?
Absolutely. Hi.
If we could all be so lucky. What's your favorite video game that you've either been in or played, and what are you watching right now?
You go. I'm a dud on that.
Yeah, I'm not a gamer really, so favorite game that I've played would probably be, man, I don't even know, one of the Mario Kart or something. It's been a long time since I played games.
Yeah.
Favorite one that I've been in, that's really tough too, but in recent memory, well, it's not even recent memory anymore, probably Ogren in Dragon Age. That was really fun because I got to say things like misery, vomit, malt liquor, reminds me of home. That was super fun. And then what am I watching now? We just watched Stranger Things. Yeah, finally caught up on that. I've seen a lot of Hellfire Club shirts here. It was awesome. And The Boys. Love The Boys.
The Boys. We watched The Boys, and I still just, boy. I was sitting there like that because I would say, I don't believe this is on television.
Yeah.
This is like,
There was one fight with some unusual weapons.
yes. Yeah. It was an orgy fight, right?
Karen Fukuhara, oh my god. Yeah, I love that show so much. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for all your work.
Yeah.
Good afternoon.
Hello?
Good afternoon.
It's funny that you mentioned video games because I'm actually cosplaying someone from a video game that you voiced in. I don't know if you remember it though, because it was like a decade and a half ago.
Which was the game?
Ace Combat 5.
Which one? Ace Combat 5?
Yeah, Ace Combat.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, Bartlett, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
That-
Yeah. Nice. Now Jets, baby.
So
Yeah.
my question for both of you was, what was a role that you played that was kind of an oddball? And by that I mean a role that you're like, I didn't expect myself to voice act this in like, 1,000 years. Like this sticks out as like kind of like that was a weird moment in your career.
Weird one. Well, I don't know how weird it is. I just finished a session of, for Ogremon and Digimon. I came out and Jeff Nimoy said, Leonard's cousin, said, Bo, do you do children's Walla? And I said, never done children's Walla. And so he said, well, let's try it. So I went in, and this is what I did. Hey, where are all the kids? They all got free candy, and I want free candy too. And he said, good. So I did the children's Walla. The Walla is like the background little, behind the major players. So that was pretty strange for me.
I'm oddly attracted to you even more right now. That's so wrong. I've played a lot of weird stuff in my career. For those of you who were here yesterday, you can ignore this, but I think still the weirdest thing for me ever was in an audiobook called Kashmir the Flying Camel, where I played an entire landscape made out of human feces. So that was fun. Yeah, this kid travels through time and space and stuff, and he ends up in this area where all of the sins of humanity basically are congealed in this toxic soup. But he's a very friendly pile of poo. So it was gross, and it was really fun though to do because I got to do my own sound effects for it. So kind of spoke like this, bubbly and droopy and a lot of vomit sounds.
Oh my God.
It was great. Lots of farts. It was like an 8-year-old kid's dream. Bubbling pile of poo.
Well, thank you for that.
I
know. Booger's pretty mild.
There was a little bit of booger in there too, I think. Yeah. It was the genesis of booger. That's the backstory for booger.
The backstory for Booger.
Now we know.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. I'm not going to be
on the phone.
Oh, yeah, no, don't do it, man. I tell you, don't do it. Thank you for that. I'm not going to be able to eat for 3 days now after all of that.
Okay. Thank you. Hi.
Hi.
My question is for Steve.
Okay.
What did you do to prepare your voice to play younger characters like JP from Digimon Frontier?
JP from Digimon?
Yeah.
JP was who I was at that age. I was kind of overweight and insecure and bullied, and I didn't think I had any real friends.
And I actually connected very deeply with that character. Is that JP, I looked like him, I sounded like him. Sometimes I wore overalls at that age. It was actually a really cathartic character to play. So I dove into that one head first. It was actually really easy and saved me a little bit of money on therapy. Thank you for that. Thanks for noticing.
Do you have a similar process for playing other younger characters like Tentos from Digimon Tamers?
Pardon me?
Do you have a similar process for playing other younger characters?
I just find something that I can connect with the characters.
Guillemon was a great character for me. Yeah! I loved Guillemon. I wasn't supposed to play Guillemon. I was there doing something else.
And they had somebody record Guillemon, I think, for the first 5, 6, 7 episodes, and it wasn't clicking for them. So they actually had me audition for Guillemon while I was there doing another character. And it was just the first voice that came to mind. A lot of us have like some voice that we've been doing for a long time that we've never been able to use in a show. That was the one for me.
I'd always been doing that bubble voice, and I wanted to do something with it. It was fun.
And it was also just a really innocent type of character. There was a big departure from a lot of the evil or terrifying characters that I had done before. And it was something that my kids could watch. So I was really excited to book that one. And I loved the writing for that show too. It had a lot of heart, from the original Japanese version of it to our adaptation of it. I felt like that show had more heart than most of the shows I was doing at that time. So it was just a labor of love for all of us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mon.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
Great.
I just want to thank you real quick just for being my childhood. Just thank you so much for Tsunami. That's what got me into this community, everything. Just thank you so much for that.
Nice.
My question is actually about the Tsunami storylines. Do either of you have like a favorite storyline that Tom and his crew went through?
Oh, wow. That last one was pretty good. With the booger. They've all been really cool, I think. We don't have anything to do with the writing of that. Those are the geniuses at AdultSwim in recent years and back in the day and at Cartoon Network. In terms of the storyline, I've loved all of the special event videos that they put together. I think those are really fun. But personally, my favorite thing to do are the inspirational speeches that we do for Tsunami, and in particular, Fall Down 7 times, Get Up 8. Because it's just such a great lesson for life, and no matter what age you are, it rings true. And those things got me through a lot of stuff, and a lot of people will tell us that those inspirational videos got them through some really hard times. And so I think if there's anything that we've done right at Tsunami, it's really been there for the people who are watching from a really authentic place. So thank you for watching Tsunami, appreciate it.
There was a narration that I did for Outlaw Star. That hit me deeply. A boy has a right to dream. That was wonderful writing. As Steve said, we don't have much input on any input on the writing except for when we're in the booth and we have to condense something or we have to expand something. So when we get a piece of writing like that, we really appreciate it. And some of the writing in Cowboy Bebop was like that. When Jet goes back to Ganymede and puts his past to rest, and I think a lot of people can relate. I could relate to going back to an old girlfriend when things ended, things were hanging in the air, and then finally he tosses the watch in the water and puts that to rest. So there's that.
Those promos were a lot of people's childhoods. We were hearing that before you guys came up. Some of the people were talking about that. Do you think it was the fact that they were so well integrated with the material that was being shown? They tended to match up story-wise to what was going on in the episodes. Do you think that was a big part of why they stuck?
Yeah.
there's a lot of timely stuff back then. I'm not sure they could get away with a lot of that stuff now.
Yeah.
Too. It was tough. Hi.
Hello.
Steve, love you as Roger in Big O, one of the shows that got me into Mecha. Beau, love you as Barrett in Advent Children. My question for both of you is, what's a dream role you guys would love to play like once, whether it's movies, shows, games, like anything? Like, what's that one role you would love to get a shot at?
It's less a role for me than part of an organization. I'd love to do a Miyazaki film. That's something I've always wanted to do. Or something like a really big DreamWorks or Disney kind of animated thing, theatrical. It usually goes to celebrities and we get kicked out to the side. There have been a lot of those kinds of things that, I don't know if this is true for you, Beau, but I've done a lot of testing, callbacks, things like that for big projects like that, and they would end up giving it to a celebrity just because they're a celebrity. It really, sometimes it doesn't have anything to do with the quality of the performance. If they're good at it, awesome. I have no problem with it at all. But if they're just hired for the celebrity factor, that's a little annoying. So I'd love to get a shot working on something like that if it's a really good show.
Well, me, I'd like to redo everything Sam Jackson's done. He stole all my roles, man. Tossing and turning. Just last night I was tossing and turning there, and I had this dream that I eliminated him. But wow. And then I woke up and I was so disappointed that it was a dream. Other than that, I'm good.
Wow. Be careful what you wish for.
Is that his beret you're wearing right now?
Sam isn't in the room, is he?
He knows, right? Nobody's recording this, right? Yeah.
He's a very nice man.
Thank you so much, guys. Stay awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, hopefully he doesn't take it out on you, Beau.
You're right, yeah.
Hi.
Hey.
So you've probably been asked this question before, and I apologize if it's something that's not easy or fun to answer, but there's been a lot of live action reimaginings, I'll say, of a lot of really closely held animes to people my age.
Yep.
And the general consensus on that is that they typically seem to not be liked. I don't know if you guys have any insight or just thoughts on maybe why that happens, but do you guys have any thoughts on that?
Well, I think human nature is that a lot of people are averse to change. People want things to go as they were, you know. And like the Cowboy Bebop live action show, there was a lot of negative that was put out on social media before it even came out, you know. And I think that myself and Steve and, you know, we encourage people to give it a chance. You know, don't make a judgment before you've seen it. And I enjoyed the show. You know, I mean, it was what it was. It wasn't Cowboy Bebop for me, but I was entertained by what I watched. So in terms of doing live action versions of animation, I think that is the problem, and especially with shows like ours, where you grew up with it, right? It was part of your childhood. It's kind of like in your bones, and it's natural to feel like it's fraudulent if someone does a different version of it. But I urge you all to, whenever that happens, give it a chance. Give it a chance, and it's easy to watch something and judge it, and you know, for me as much as for anybody else. When I was watching Cowboy Bebop, and when I first heard it, I said, "No, Jet, I'm Jet." But you know, I came around in my own head, and it's just human nature. I mean, you do a role and you connect, especially Jet. I mean, I connect so sincerely with who Jet is, and me being part of him and him part of me. And then when Mustafa was going to do him, I had to reassess my thinking and tell myself inside, calm down, Beau, wait and see what it is, and I enjoyed it for what it was. To me, I think it augmented the Cowboy Bebop universe. I think some people came to watch the anime after watching that and saying, well, let's see where this came from. You know?
That's what happened for me. I immediately went back and wanted to rewatch it, and I'm glad I did.
Cool. So it's positive. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that is absolutely true of that show particularly, and I know that there have been a lot of shows that were not so good, just in terms of the quality of the storytelling, and I think that's what people are basing their opinions on initially. But there are a lot of people who are very resistant to change or something different than what they're used to or different than something in their head. We face that all the time actually when we're voicing legacy characters that somebody has created before. We went through that a lot with Wolverine, for example, because there were some really great actors that had performed the voice of Wolverine before I got my throat around it. And at first, people were really hesitant. Same with Star Wars. Anytime we do anything new in Star Wars, people are going to hate on it as hard as they can until it comes out. Sometimes they'll continue to hate on it, but the ones that give it a chance, some of them will come around. So, like Beau was saying, we encourage people to watch the live-action Bebop thing, even though we had nothing to do with it. I, as a fan, wanted to see how that would be interpreted in real time. And I think John Cho did a fantastic job. I think Mustafa and most of the cast I loved in that. I think a couple people were miscast in it. That's just my own personal opinion. But I actually really loved their take on it. And anybody in the film business, I was in the film business before I was in animation or video games, anybody in the film business that has ever put their heart and soul into a project will tell you that even if it comes out bad, that wasn't their intention. They worked their butts off for years, sometimes decades, to get that thing produced. And if it didn't come out, good, they didn't do that on purpose. They really tried. Things happen, and it's not just one or two people that are behind a project of that scope either. It's a huge community, and there's funding involved, and there are networks involved often, and legal people involved making decisions that have nothing to do with the creative part of it. So I always take all of that into account when I watch something for the first time, and I will give it a fresh pair of eyes and ears. And I encourage everybody to at least give it a shot before they crap on it.
One of the things about Cowboy Bebop, my thoughts were that they missed an opportunity, because I felt that if they had incorporated the voice cast into the show, if Steve had interactions with John Cho, I had interactions with Mustafa. I mean, because they had a built-in fan base, and I think that you guys, would have been fascinated if you saw me interacting with that Jet, and of course he would be the lead, so he would prevail in any conflicts that we had, and to me it would have been a gold mine of material if they had imagined it slightly differently and incorporated the voice cast, and I think that if that was, even if that was publicized, people wouldn't have been hating on it like they did even before they saw it, But very smart people did that show, but very smart people can make some not so smart decisions, and I think that's what happened there.
Yeah, it would have been fun. I mean, we were talking about the other day, it would have been fun for us just to play the parts of the old guys.
You didn't fly that mission, you idiot.
Yes, I did. I sure did.
Because now we're that age. We could totally pull that off. I'd love to crash a plane.
Nobody can crash a plane like I can.
Oh, you've never even been in a plane. What are you talking about?
You always know everything.
You don't even wear pants half the time.
No, that's nobody. Well, you don't wear underwear, so what the hell's the difference?
Your wife knitted you a shirt.
Yeah, there's that. I'm sorry about that. I can't control that woman because she can kick my ass.
Thank you for that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
This is my first panel I've ever been to, so.
Welcome. So excited to ruin it for you.
Growing up being named Tom, I had a lot of connection to Tom, Tsunami, and watching the first time you left, Stay Gold, it connected with a lot to me. I'm actually looking for roles in voice casting right now, trying to get my foot out there, and I guess my question is, what does nostalgia do for you guys, and what do you pull from your childhood when you're trying to go for a role?
anything and everything. You know, your life experiences. I have often said that people who knew they were going to be actors from the beginning and only were actors in their lives were actually maybe a slight disadvantage if they haven't done other things, other jobs. You know, I did other jobs, and Steve has done other jobs, and you've experienced people in different environments, and so you call upon those personal experiences you had. I mean, when I first went to Hollywood, I did telephone sales. You know, getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning, going to the phone room and hating the hell out of it because I was not a salesman, I couldn't close. And then I found out I was lying anyway because the whole company was a scam. So that experience, you know, gave me something to call upon. I was a massage therapist. I went and took 120 hours at the Institute of Psychostructural Balancing in Santa Monica. Yeah, and I was massaging people and.
Thank you. Keep talking.
We'll base this later, Stevie. We'll base this later. Okay. But yeah,
he's good.
Your life experience. You know, life experiences from everything that's happened in your life. If you recall, something can help you in a role. Maybe just one scene of a character that you have. So any personal experiences is part of who you are that you bring to your work.
I would concur with all of that, but specifically to the youthful part of that question. When I was a kid, I had mentioned before that I was bullied and super insecure, and I was never really great at anything. I was just kind of okay. I could do a lot of things, but it wasn't high quality. Most of the things that I did were just not high quality. Okay. And so getting to perform in a career like this, where it demands a very high level of quality for most of the stuff that we do, was a huge growth opportunity for me. And I got to heal a lot of those feelings as a kid, where I felt like I just wasn't good at anything. And I had a lot of people tell me that I wasn't good at anything. I had a lot of people tell me that I would never be a good voice actor, also including my own parents. They didn't believe that this was a viable career. My father was a doctor, and nothing other than a professional career was something to be admired or something viable. So I had to fight through a lot of that stuff. And what it did for me was make me really grateful when I had the opportunity to take on a role like JP we were talking about before, or even some of the evil characters, because the evil or the really loud or angry characters for me was a way of healing some of that stuff from my childhood. So it's cathartic, exactly. Yeah, so when I'm slaughtering gutbags, I'm thinking of all the bullies that used to beat me up when I was 7 years old and pound my face into the pavement when I was a kid. I got a chance to work that stuff out without really hurting anybody in the real world. You always have a lot of options, but like Beau was saying also, you never know when life experience is going to come in handy in this work. I was doing a looping session, it's the background voices that he was talking about, Walla, for a feature film years ago, and we had some jargon that we had to come up with about fire protection. Well, I serviced fire equipment for 3 years in the streets of downtown LA. I never thought I'd use any of that information. But they said, does anybody know anything about fire extinguishers? And I came up to the microphone, I got to do this whole scene. I said, well, the ABC powder is the kind that you use on this sort of fire. And then, you use BC, and you use the extinguishers that you turn upside down for water-type fires, but you got to make sure you're careful about how you store those because there's acid in there. And I knew, a lot of the technical stuff that nobody else in the room knew. And so I came up with, from a perspective of authenticity that nobody expected, including me, and I could actually use that stuff. I knew a lot about animals because I worked with animals for a long time in a pet shop. If you haven't been bitten by a tarantula and a snake the same day, you don't have that same perspective.
Same day. You didn't learn the first time, man.
I didn't have any choice. I was the low man on the soda pole. I had to clean the duck poop. So I have experience cleaning duck poop. Who has that? You take all of those experiences and you never know where that's going to come in handy. But great question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So,
A little closer to the mic.
there you go. So, my main question was, anime is really booming right now. It's been for about a decade. When you first really got into it, there was less, I'm guessing, budget. People just weren't expecting the money from it, so they weren't putting it in. Have you seen your working conditions really just improve, better equipment?
Anime? No.
You know, actually, I can say it's gone the other way. You know, when we did Bebop, we had the luxury of time. You know, we didn't feel rushed. That, you know, there's no pressure to hurry up, and we were all kind of just doing our thing and getting our sea legs, so to speak, and the pay was terrible. The pay is still terrible. You know, I mean, so you know, nobody can really survive on anime
Alone, yeah.
alone, because that's SAG. The union wages are so low. So, you know, we were doing it, and like I see, I'm sure started for the love of it, the joy of it. Because I mean, it wouldn't have paid for a round of golf for me, you know what I mean? It was like, wait, what? But it's branched off because of that. You know, we're here, and so it's all a wonderful story of love. But when we were doing Cowboy Bebop, we weren't doing it for the money. Trust me.
Yeah, I've said before that 26 episodes and a movie of Cowboy Bebop, I made less money on all that than one episode of Star Wars Rebels. That gives you some perspective, and there's still no residuals, so even though they're playing these shows forever and ever and ever, we don't get anything from them. Zero. So even the union ones, which are technically supposed to pay residuals, we make no extra money from it. So it truly was a labor of love. Bebop, like Beau was saying, we actually had the luxury of time, so we didn't feel rushed. Most anime shows, especially at that time, we had a minimum amount of lines we had to get through in a session. And it was, I think, at 40 lines per hour is what they required of us. If you couldn't do that, you got fired, and somebody else would come in. And so the quality suffered because of that. Fortunately, it's gotten better. We've gotten better. The technology has gotten better. There are companies like Funimation who really have, stepped up their level of, the actors pool in Texas. So, it used to be only available really in California. The best actors were really only available in California, and there was a very small pool of them. Now they've got some in Canada. They've got them all over the country and all over the world. So the quality, I think, has gotten better, and the palette has gotten better for anime in America specifically. Back when we first started, it was the subbers versus the dubbers, and we would have our lives threatened by people who did not want this stuff to be dubbed because it wasn't very good in the beginning. So, and I don't blame them to some degree, but at that point, I wouldn't go to conventions because my life was literally threatened, and my family's life was threatened at the time for destroying the art form of anime. So thankfully, it's come a very long way since then, and thank you guys for trusting us for all these years. We wouldn't be here without you. So,
How you guys doing today?
Great. How about you?
Good. First, I want to echo the sentiment of the lady in the Zenitsu cosplay. Tsunami was the first thing that I saw when I was a kid, so it's been a big part of my life.
Nice.
The first question I want to ask is, what was your favorite Tsunami block in the early 2000s?
I barely remember. Well, probably the first one where I was involved when Tom 2 came into play. We had, I think, Dragon Ball Z and a lot of the really big forever shows back then. Some of those shows are really hard to get a hold of now. They're just too expensive. I would just say that's my favorite because that's when I came into it, and that's some of my fondest memories and my most terrifying memories, because hosting a show like that was really frightening for me. I'd never done anything like that before.
You did a great job.
Well, thank you. But I find that the things that scare me the most are the things that stick with me the most. And now I love Toonami. I love it dearly. I love getting to work on it all the time, but it doesn't scare me like it used to. So I think the things that really changed me as a person are the things that really terrified me, and I got through anyway. So a lot of people getting into our business are worried about the fear. What do I do if I get stage fright? What do I do if I forget the character's voice? Or, if I feel like I'm going to throw up while I'm working? Awesome. Use that stuff. You're going to be afraid. The secret to success is being afraid and doing it anyway. So that's the stuff that really got me through. Thanks for listening to my TED Talk.
The next thing I want to ask is, when Tsunami came back that one random night, I think it was like 2011, how do you guys feel about that when the next day, or the next week rather, everybody was like, yeah, Tsunami should definitely come back to Cartoon Network?
No.
We were all surprised.
Yeah.
We did that event as kind of a love letter to everybody. It was the April Fool's event.
Yeah.
And usually they would show the room, and all of a sudden, surprise, surprise, there's Tom and this amazing lineup from the old school days. We did that just as a gift to the fans who loved Toonami for so many years. We didn't get a chance to do that when we signed off the air. And the guys who were in charge of Toonami are huge fans of anime too. And they just wanted to do that as a gift for you guys. We had no idea that it would blow up to be what it was. And thanks to you guys and the hashtags, bring back Toonami and whatever that was at that time, that's what got the network to say, okay, you can do it again. We're not going to give you any money to do it, but you can do your little show in the middle of the night when there's nothing going on. Good luck. That's basically what it was, and everybody was working on their own time after hours because we all loved it. And like Beau was saying, we didn't do this for the money. I love the money. Don't tell my agent that I do it. Don't do it for the money. But we love the art form of anime, and we wanted the opportunity to bring it to a wider audience again. And so we're just grateful that we got to bring back Toonami, and thank you guys for doing that. We couldn't have done it without you.
Thank you.
I wanted to just, sorry for being in a moment late. For the gentleman that just asked that last question, that was April 1st, 2012. At midnight Eastern time.
Yep.
And, I remember that moment quite explicitly because my dad called me in the middle of the night. Maybe when your parent brings you in the middle of the night, you're like, oh, is something wrong? And he's like, Chris, I need you to turn on the TV right now. And I was like, oh, what's going on? Did the world explode? And he tells me to turn on Cartoon Network. And we had that iteration of Tom, which looks a little bit different than the one that I grew up with. And maybe for a moment, it's almost like a little bit emotional when you hear that theme song that's 20 years old. Maybe it's like Just Communication from Gundam Wing. It's Through the Night from Outlaw Star, or maybe it's Tank from Cowboy Bebop. But that, of all the funny little nostalgic moments you can bring up in your timeline that is your life, that is one that sticks out to me. It was very special.
You have one cool dad.
I did. I was the one that actually wanted to propose this panel to put it on the schedule. So again, I'm sorry I popped in late. Thank you guys for being here to reflect on it. And I absolutely want us to try and knock through these last few questions, absolutely get you guys through. But I just wanted to offer that moment. I was very lucky to have a parent from the Y'all's era who, some of my earliest memories were sitting down with a fan-subbed VHS of Robotech and Macross, the original Dragon Ball, and I had no concept for what that medium was. And my mom and the rest of my family was certainly like, what are we doing here? This isn't, Looney Tunes or anything, but I've been so lucky now to look back and, Jim and I have been around maybe in this industry for a little while. And I think I can really pin it back to those first times sitting down with Dad, showing me the videotapes. And because of that, another distinct moment in that timeline, besides April 1st, 2012, was him saying, I love Space Ghost. Apparently Moltar is going to host this little block where they're actually going to show anime on cable television. My dad was hyped.
Did you guys have any anime that you watched before you started doing this work?
It wasn't called anime back then. It was called Japanimation. Yeah. I didn't know what it was. It was just cartoons to me. I watched like Speed Racer, Kimba the White Lion, those kinds of things. And I didn't even know about Robotech until I was on a panel with the Robotech guys from Streamline and getting things thrown at us on stage. But yeah, it was a whole different kind of thing. And anime addressed real issues, real family struggles and issues and dysfunction that we didn't get to see in American animation, and it was life-changing for me. So we had to be part of that, where people could actually connect to something on a really deep, profound level and actually work through stuff. In the context of our cartoon, who knew? It's amazing.
I would tease my dad a lot for calling it Japanimation. No, man, that's not what it is now.
Yeah.
And I to put my thoughts together. I haven't had an incomplete thought since 7 or 8 a.m. this morning when you're on time. But thank you guys for, I think Toonami in particular, what makes it so special too is you touched on the inspirational messages, right, that Tom would deliver. And maybe I speak for a lot of folks that when we sat down for the block, whether you chose the late night one or the one after school for years as I did, it felt a little bit like Tom was stepping in to raise you for a minute. And maybe if something was going on in your personal life, or maybe school was tough, or maybe you were bullied, that was a portion of the day that you can guarantee that someone was going to tell you that it was going to be cool and it was going to be okay.
Your anime uncles over here.
I know. And that was significant for me too, as someone that grew up in that era, to feel like I always could count on that couple blocks a week, those couple hours a day to have that inspirational message. I really, truly, I wouldn't have stayed in the medium or ended up sitting up here or knowing Jim or anyone else here at ODA or throughout the industry if I hadn't sat down as that 8, 9-year-old kid. And it stuck with me for a long time. So I hope it was the same kind of reflection for you guys, that was something that you could count on. Tom was always going to be there for you. And then you were going to watch a story about a shonen protagonist that was going to scream and power up, and he was always going to beat the bad guy. So superficially, you know, it's always a message of overcoming and maybe falling down and getting back up. And Toonami was special because it was so multi-layered with those inspirational messages, with the storyline like The Intruder, and the other ones that you've done consequently. It all tied together, and maybe it kind of taught us as kids to pick others' messages and stories and ideas out of those anime we were watching that we wouldn't have otherwise noticed. So it was certainly that way for me. I won't tell you my life story anymore. I will hope we can get through the rest of these questions. So we are in the last half of the panel, so let's try and get through them. But again, thank you guys for coming and for coming to support them and reflect on all this nostalgia with us. So cheers for you.
Thanks for trusting Uncle Steve.
So I'm a little, can you hear me? I'm a little bummed out because I've always wanted to ask you if you coached Mustafa or anything, because I felt like you really tried in the live adaptation. To hear that you guys weren't even involved, very disheartening. But my question is, amateurs and any profession always make mistakes. What would you tell amateur voice actors, like a mistake you made that they can just completely avoid, even if they could learn?
Mistakes to avoid.
Well, you can find out a lot of that information at blueboxstudios.com. We're asked that question so often. That's why I started teaching, because I saw a lot of people making a lot of mistakes, and even worse, there are a lot of predators out there that'll take advantage of you when you're first getting in. So I wanted to provide a forum so that people could get real, solid information about how the industry actually works. One of the very first things I always tell my students is that you have to do this for the love of it, because it's hard. Sometimes it doesn't pay. It's a cyclical business. Sometimes we're working, sometimes we're not working at all. It's really, really difficult. I've had points in my career where I had to have 3 other jobs to sustain myself, just to eat, and while I was doing voiceover work. So you have to do it for the love of it. A lot of people get into entertainment because they want to be famous. or they want to get rich. Neither of those things happen for 99% of the people who get into the industry. The fame that's happened to us is, I think, is an accident, honestly. I mean, we've worked at it for a long, long, long time. And sometimes if you can keep that longevity going and keep putting out quality product, eventually you might get some level of fame. I never expected this. I never wanted this. It's uncomfortable for me. You know, I go to conventions and we're like rock stars for a couple days. I go home and I'm cleaning cat turds, you know? And I live in Hawaii now. I think there's 3 people on the island who know who I am. And it's always that guy at the hardware store, Steve, I just saw your latest video game or something, you know. That's it. I can be completely anonymous, so don't do it for the fame, because that'll just suck your soul right away. It's a fleeting moment. The other thing that I would highly recommend is that you have to be able to go to that childlike place where you didn't care about what people thought of you. One of the very first classes we did was about what I call playing in the sandbox, where you can have a couple of sticks talking to each other, and you look like a crazy person having this conversation between these 2 characters. I do it all the time, and I'm 62. You have to be willing to play and to be willing to look stupid, as I say, because the microphone, we ain't pretty when we're making a lot of these noises. And then on camera, you have this gorgeous face like Beau does. On camera, he has to look a certain way when he's portraying a character. We don't have to do that when we're behind the mic. I'm barely wearing pants. I'm slobbering over myself.
No, see, I can't unthink that.
You're welcome. But I actually shot this video for my students where I was doing a video game and spitting in front of a microphone, just doing this disgusting creature. And I held the phone out here, and I didn't know what I looked like. I was just curious for myself. And literally so much spit is flying onto the phone that it's hard to see. You have to be willing to do that. It's not pretty. So those are the couple of really quick pieces of advice I can give you. Beyond that, go to bloomboxstudios.com. And seriously, we did a free 1-hour masterclass. I would highly encourage you, if you're new to voiceover, go check that out. Before you spend any money with anyone, whether it's my classes or not, check that out, because it'll give you the reality of what this business is. And I don't want you to suffer like so many of us did coming up and wasting money, wasting time, and having people make empty promises to you that will break your heart. I don't want that to happen to you. So, yeah, check out bloomboxstudios.com and check out the free masterclass.
Thank you.
Awesome, thank you.
So what was your favorite part of Cowboy Bebop? And yeah, basically.
The favorite what?
Part and scene.
Favorite scene?
Favorite scene?
Yeah, scene of it.
Oh. Well, I have a lot of them. Yeah, we mentioned I think I mentioned the Mushroom Samba when he's talking to his bonsai trees. I never thought I would be doing a character stoned in anime. I like this or that. Yeah, he's talking to the bonsai trees, but the interaction with Spike and Jed they're just fun and enjoyable. In the beginning, when it's, hey Spike, time to eat, what do we have? Bell peppers and beef and blah 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 blah. Those little things I really enjoyed. I enjoyed when Jet went back to Ganymede, as I mentioned, and put his past to rest. And that was the thing in an earlier question. I'm a bit older than most here, and the cartoons that I watched, like on Saturday morning, was all these Popeye and Roadrunner and Tom and Jerry. They're all just fighting, right? I mean, they're just fighting and knocking each other out, and nobody ever dies, and they flatten out and they get up and all of that stuff. But animation now, I mean, it's heavy stuff. It's heavy stuff, and I enjoy the fact that it's not just fluff like the things I was watching. When I was young, it's pretty. I'm really happy the way animation has evolved, so that it's not just some silly stuff that you're watching and not meaningful at all. But I'll pass the mic to you.
Yes, my favorite scene changes from day to day. So depending on what I'm thinking about at the moment. in this moment, I'm thinking about probably the scenes with Pierrot Le Fou. Just because I felt that that was one of the most terrifying villains I have ever seen. And the character was played by our dear friend, Kevin Seymour, who was responsible for most of the old school anime that you guys fell in love with. Unsung hero, he passed away several years ago, but Kevin was a very shy, very unassuming man. And that's the one role that he took because he just loved the terrifying nature of the clown persona of this indestructible character. I didn't know it was him playing it in the beginning. Kevin was always our director. He was always behind the scenes casting stuff. He was always giving us advice behind the scenes, and to see him flesh that out in one of the characters that scared me more than anything I've ever seen was really gratifying to see that after the fact. And we didn't know while we were recording what that was going to look like. We only saw our scenes, and I saw him coming in and out of the scene with my scenes with him. But there are many other times in that particular episode that I didn't see until the final thing, and until many, many, many years later when I actually saw the full episode. So I think that the favorite episodes for me are really where it becomes a collaborative experience with the other actors in the room. The scenes with Jet also, where we're talking about bell peppers and beef, or in the movie where, Jet, I thought you said there were, what was it, 3 guys or something?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I thought
you take too long to take it. Whatever.
I thought you said it was 2 and there were 3, right?
There were actually 3, yeah.
Yeah.
Those kinds of things, it's fun while we're recording it, but we really don't get the sense of how it plays until it's all cut together. So the favorite scenes actually shifted once I saw it 15, 20 years later. And it changes to this day. I'll rewatch it again and something else will catch my attention.
And the music affects that too.
Music is crazy, yeah.
Yeah.
It's really cool. That's one of my favorite characters in the show is the music, honestly. It really was a character all its own, and Yoko Kanno was a genius, and all the musicians and writers that worked with her. Raj Ramaya, I got to do some conventions with him and actually perform with him on stage. We did some music on stage with Mary Elizabeth, who sang some of the Cowboy Bebop songs. I mean, it brought me right back to that moment when it aired in the show, too. So when music gives you that kind of feeling, it becomes a character that's just as important as any of the cast members do.
We have just about 4.5 minutes left.
Oh, all right, speed round.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, speed round. See how fast we can go.
Hello. I have a question for you. So if Cowboy Bebop was meant to be remade, would you guys like the whole?
Yes.
That was pithy.
Yes. Good question.
Tsunami music. Love it, need it, where can I get it? And do you guys ever work with any great artists?
Tsunami music?
Yeah.
You gotta check with Adult Swim. I don't have anything to do with that. But we do have the Tsunami, or Adult Swim Festival, where Jason DeMarco is bringing all kinds of new music all the time, all year long. So just check out adultswim.com. You can look out for the Adult Swim Festival. There's a lot of new music coming from there too.
Addicts in Inventory 2 by Chris DeVoe, Deep Space Base by Joe Boyd Virgil.
There you go. Yeah. Okay.
What's your favorite Toonami Total Immersion event?
Probably Intruder.
Which one? There's like 3.
The first one. Sorry, the first one. Because that's when I got to rise from the ashes, or the muck.
The muck, right? No, yeah, yours.
Booger.
Yeah. Booger.
The booger event.
I'm still over here being a booger, so.
It'll always be the booger event. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Was there a role that kind of you were surprised how much you enjoyed? You weren't expecting to enjoy that much?
The Forthright Kage. Forthright Kage. Although if I had my choice, I would have recorded, I would have voiced B. Because B was like, yeah, baby, everything's cool, baby.
Interesting that you said something from Naruto. Onoki.
Okay.
Tsuchikage.
Oh my
Getting to work on Boruto and stuff as the father figure, Orochimaru becoming a father figure, that was really wrong and weird. That was super fun.
Talking about wrong and weird and Boruto, Forthright Kage's, all his muscles are all sagged and stuff. And, when I almost cried when I saw the animation of him, and I think, oh no, what has happened to me?
Thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Hi.
I have a quick question. What was your thoughts on getting roles as Barrett and Vincent in Final Fantasy VII Advent Children? Because I'm a big Final Fantasy fan.
What?
Barrett. Final Fantasy VII.
What are your thoughts on getting that role?
Oh, I loved it. I loved it. You know, I wish I had an arm that was a weapon. You know, I'd find Sam Jackson.
Don't let him fool you, he's got guns. Vincent was great for me because I didn't have to scream. Thank you.
Probably about 2 more questions.
Okay.
Okay, this one's for Steve. So any chance of seeing Zeb in either Ahsoka or The Mandalorian coming up? I know Disney has their own, like, whatever, but any chance of that character returning?
The Dave Filoni chip is still installed, I can't say a thing.
It's actually funny you mentioned Naruto because I had a weird request. As the 4th Raikage and Orochimaru, do you guys think you could explain why the anime culture has shifted so much? Because like yourself, I was also bullied a lot for liking it as a kid, but then you get older and now it's the coolest thing in the world.
Nerds rule the world.
Finally, yes, that's what I was going to say too.
Thank you. All right, we can knock out these last ones. We can do it.
In a lot of shows, you both either do multiple characters or additional voices. What is it like if you're like the only person in a scene, but also playing multiple characters, like just talking to yourself?
Steve has had conversations with himself and more than one.
Literally all I do most of the time. I love it. I love that challenge.
Yeah.
It's really fun.
Yeah.
Love your work in Stranger Things, too. Nice.
So there's a lot of like voice actors on YouTube now that do pretty like spot on impressions of like your voice is Steve, yours is Bobo, and I'm wondering if you ever worry about them coming into the industry and like undercutting you by their ability, or if you're like, I got this on lock, you know?
Bring it. There's enough work for everybody. Good on them. If they want to do it, I can take a break and sleep in my hammock.
Pleasure speaking with you. Do you have any favorite improv moments from working with anyone else?
All of great teacher Onizuka. The whole show was an improv. Literally, the whole show was an improv. We didn't have a proper script.
Shit taki mushrooms on ice. That was an improv, right? Yeah. And he got through. He just got through.
I know. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks for coming to this panel, guys, and keep living the dream. 20-some years of Toonami. You all grew up pretty good thanks to your anime uncles.
Your uncle loves you. Watch us tonight, only Tsunami on Adult Swim.